Hello, welcome everyone to another episode of Megan Chitwood Live. I should probably start calling this Megan and Emily Live. We are going to talk to you today about what it takes to actually have a really great referral based business. So let's get started. And you can catch us Mondays at 9 a.m. Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And you can also catch us on Instagram as well. So welcome, Emily. Welcome back.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So you yourself, I feel like I don't feel like I can say I had a referral based business just because my business wasn't big enough before I became the BNI executive director. But you specifically have had businesses that you've done just business by referral completely.
Yes, back when I was a member of BNI, obviously it didn't start that way. I still had to engage in, cold calling and pulling on doors and stuff. But once I joined a referral-based organization, yes, 100% of my business came only from referrals. So I think my dad always said, work smarter, not harder. And that was the way to do it. So I would get phone calls inbound, saying, hey, I want to do business, or I have another another referral for you. I have somebody I need you to work with. And that was my life. It was amazing. Still is.
So let's talk about how I want to help everyone get to like where they are now, where they might be doing all kinds of types of other things besides really focusing on referrals. Like, and let's talk about the process of actually getting to being 100% referral based. So yeah, so like, where did
Yeah.
you start?
So, I mean, and not to mention when when I was working, I was doing marketing consulting, digital marketing consulting. So I have talked to lots of businesses about their marketing efforts and everything that they've tried and everything that hasn't worked. And so I think the one thing that I know, or it's pretty consistent across all of that, is we're all just looking for something to work. And unfortunately, there is no silver bullet. But I have seen so many businesses that have tried this, invested this, and it isn't an investment, it's a cost. And so, but they're putting it everywhere, just hoping that something will work. Um, and it's very overwhelming. It's very frustrating. And I think the biggest thing for them is that they don't track anything, so that they don't, like, in terms of having a process to see does it work, does it not, was always an issue. But I've never seen anything work as efficiently, as effectively as investing in referral relationships and creating a referral pipeline.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And yeah, so kind
but
of where does one start if they were going to get started? I mean, I know when I was, like I said, I was so short-lived in another business besides BNI, but I immediately joined BNI and I immediately joined the chamber and I immediately went to all those things and started building relationships.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's where I started. Just I
did.
got to show up,
Yeah,
everywhere that business people are.
absolutely. And that's what I did as well. I was cold calling. That's how I ended up in BNI. And one of the members, I cold called off of LinkedIn, invited me to a meeting, and never had to cold call ever again after that meeting, because I stayed and worked the system. But I kind of got addicted to networking, and that is not all that you similarly to, like, the marketing efforts or investing marketing efforts, we can do the same thing with in-person networking events as well, because I was doing 4 to 5 networking events a week, chamber events, ribbon cuttings, happy hours, multiple BNI chapter meetings across, throughout the week. So it is a time investment versus a monetary investment.
Yeah. And then, but you also talked about tracking, and I think tracking is really, really important as well. When you are putting your time in, looking at where am I going to get my biggest bang for my time buck, right? But where are those places going to be where I can build relationships with people I really, that will really be able to help me ultimately?
Yeah, I mean, depending on your industry, there's lots of different opportunities. I personally, I believe that BNI offers something that most casual networking environments don't, which is the accountability and the tracking ability to be able to systematically look down and say, yes, I made X amount of dollars this year from my time investment. And so it's very clear. It's not so clear in other organizations, but the way that you can, I think, make it the most efficient use of your time is really targeting your efforts with the people that you want to be working with. And those are those organizations like here in Houston, we have something called CREAM, like commercial real estate,
Yep.
investors of area management. Well, I don't remember what it was
Yeah.
called, but anyways, but like that's where all the commercial B2B people were at. So that's where I wanted to be at. Or, certain, we have one here for the A&M people, the Aggie land folks. So, you really want to concentrate, find those specialized kind of groups or specialized groups that have the industries that you want to be working with, and that would be like my second tier of where I would spend most of my time.
Yeah.
Um, like casual happy hours typically did not, it's so incredibly hard to track, and it's so incredibly hard to, you really have to be diligent and disciplined in finding that person in the room, and then after the fact working a follow-up process and connecting with them, and to make it actually go all the way to an actual referral.
Absolutely. I think of more social ones, like the place you go to kind of find the person you're going to date later on. Because yeah, and that's the good of that is I have a lot of people that I can meet up with, but can I really figure out if there's certain people that, oh yeah, we could have a mutually beneficial relationship. But yeah, you're right. The thing, you have to be disciplined enough to set up a follow through right away and to really cultivate that relationship to turn it into a referral partnership as well.
Right. The other thing, I mean, even though I say, be very strategic, and I'm thinking as it's coming out of my mouth that, you only want to spend time with people that can generate referrals for you, or that that they're set in that position to be with you. We don't want to discount everybody else in the room as well, because you never know who somebody might know. So there's that too, right? And you can just work a room and have fun, and find out that the person you're talking to, while you can't sell them anything and they provide no quote unquote value to you in your business, their husband may be the CEO of the company you're trying to sell. So I mean, you never know.
So a story about exactly that. Here in Huntsville, Alabama, we have one of the highest per capita of engineers and PhDs in the country. So I thought it would be a brilliant idea to set up a space and missile defense engineering B&I group. Yeah, so why not? There's so many of them, right? I have many stories as to why that didn't turn out to be
I was gonna
didn't turn
say,
out to
because
be
they're
perfect.
so social and
They're so
outgoing
social.
people.
They highly value networking, as you might
Yeah,
imagine.
right.
Yes. So anyway, there were lots of opportunities with. We had to teach them so much. But anyway, that's not the point of the story. We got to the point where there were like 12 of them, and we needed just more people to build the network. And so we had another group that we were like, well, let's put them together and let's call this the engineering power team. And then the rest of the group will kind of be like a normal BNI makeup, and we'll bring them together. So we brought them all together. And I got so many complaints. None of the engineering people wanted to hear the Mary Kay person's 1 minute presentation each and every week. They thought it was an unbelievable waste of time. And I happened to not be at that meeting. And so I'm hearing all of this, and I like start laughing. I'm laughing so much because I said, here's a lesson for everyone. You didn't give her a chance. You didn't get to know her. Let me tell you who her husband is. And he was in management at Boeing. And all of these guys were small business engineers. And Boeing has a small business requirement that they have to hit as a government contractor. And she was a great, great person for them to all know, but they never gave her a shot. They just absolutely never gave her a shot. And there you go. But it is, again, that you'd have to teach that so much. But yeah, you never know. You just never know. You just never know.
Which goes back to, how do you build a referral? I think the key and the center point of any kind of marketing, whatever it is, it's always about numbers. It's always about the amount of people in your audience, whether that's online followers, or if that's searches, or if that's how many people drive by the billboard, or whatever. And so the more people that you can talk to, and the more people that you can introduce who you are and what you do, the more opportunities you will ultimately have. We were talking earlier, about what to do in terms of, yes, you're talking, but you have to make yourself stand out in some way. You can't just blend in with the crowd. And you have to, I have lots of, there's one guy in my networking community here, and he's a lawyer, but he majored in opera. And so he would sing his like 1 minute presentations whenever he was at a chamber event or something like that. And so now he has been coined the singing lawyer, and that's how everybody knows him. And so he's an estate planning attorney, but people just love that he's got a different side to him, and that just is very, so you got to do something to stand out. I'm not saying you have to sing, but something to make sure that I was Emily the web girl. Like everybody just kind of knew me as that.
And it doesn't always have to be a gimmicky thing either. It took me a lot of years to, I'm remembered. I'm remembered when I go somewhere. I don't have to be, Megan the singing something, because you wouldn't want me to be that. But I don't necessarily. So also kind of think about, what do you bring? Like how do people respond to you? And if people respond to you positively, you don't even have to have necessarily a gimmick. You just have to make sure that you're definitely memorable. And I think you're memorable by being interested and interesting, as well. So I think probably the time that I spent building the referral-based business, I probably spent more time working on myself, making myself reliable, and making myself understanding how to make myself memorable in the moment was probably the most development I did for my business during that time, just so that I, could. We were talking earlier as well, like, right? So I'm known to answer the phone. I'm known to do what I said I was going to do, all of those kinds of things. I think there's a higher level of responsibility when you're going out to build a referral-based business as well.
Yeah. And I think the one thing that you just said, I think nails it for me. And I just heard this story yesterday, but that was kind of my deal, was I just did what I said I was going to do. If I told you, if I'm sitting at this casual thing and I got your card, I'm like, oh yeah, I totally know somebody I can hook you up with. I immediately went home that night, wrote that introduction email, connected the two of them. It wasn't just smoke. It was, I did exactly what I said I was going to do. And just yesterday, I was talking to one of my team members, and she was talking about this mortgage lady and how driven she is and how she wants to start a BNI chapter. And they had a similar conversation. Like, I need to know this person for my insurance, and this person, this person. And she knocked out like 3 or 4 different introduction emails for her. And it's like, that is what makes you memorable. When you can help somebody, you do it immediately, you do what you say you're going to do, like those things really stand out to people. And they're like, wow, that took her, and it probably took her 2 minutes to write those emails, maybe 5 at most. And that insurance agent will forever refer that mortgage person because of the speed and the commitment and the follow through that she did in that first 5 minutes.
And that's how simple it is to be memorable. I mean, it's like, it's easy to do, easy not to do is another one of my favorite quotes, is like, these things are easy to do, but they're also easy not to do because they take so little time. Getting those few things knocked out, that's 10 minutes of massive credibility. That was just
huge. And I can't ever, I try to really discipline myself to do anything that I'm like, oh, I'll just do that later. I'm like, that's a lot of headspace to like leave it up there. It's a lot of energy to do all that. Just get it done. Especially those types of what we call 5-minute favors. It didn't take her anything. It doesn't take me anything to just do a text message to communicate with people. Like, it's very easy to do, and it does hold a lot of weight.
So I think that's an amazing cliffhanger to next week. Let's talk about the 5-minute favors and how easy it is to really connect everyone together, and really, be a connector for people. If you're a connector for people, it makes you super memorable. And ultimately, you'll, like I said, you'll be super memorable and a person of action, which helps elevate you completely. So we'll talk about that one next week. Thanks, Emily, for being my co-host on this now. It's so much more fun having a conversation as opposed to just sitting here talking to yourself.
I can't imagine doing that. So every Monday to just talk to yourself in the mirror.
Exactly. All right.
I'm here for you.
We'll see you next week.
Thanks.